Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Today, once again, we're talking about extreme weather events, and this time about hurricanes in the Atlantic, typhoons in the Pacific, and cyclones in the Indian Ocean. Only for the second time in recorded history, in the Atlantic region, they have run out of alphabetized hurricane names. They usually have 21 names, and they've run through all of them and have now started using Greek letters. And at this moment, Hurricane Delta, the fourth Greek letter, is threatening to wreak really bad damage in the Gulf of Mexico region. In this video, we're going to talk about why suddenly there are so many hurricanes in the Atlantic this year, and conversely, what is happening in the other two major oceans. My name is Sandhya Ramesh, and this is Pure Science. Hurricane Delta had just started to form on October 1st as a tropical wave, and since then, after developing for 2 days, it started to intensify extremely rapidly. It went from a tropical wave to a tropical depression to tropical storm and is now a hurricane. It is still intensifying and is expected to cause extensive damage and threaten millions of lives. It is expected to hit in the same Gulf of Mexico region, which was the same place that Hurricane Katrina also affected, and incidentally it was during Katrina's 2005 Atlantic hurricane season that the Atlantic region had run out of alphabets for the first time and used Greek letters. Now, this is happening in the Atlantic, all the way on the other side of the world. So for those of us in India, why are we talking about it right now? Unlike geopolitical borders, oceanic waters and atmosphere does not have rigid boundaries. As the earth and the atmosphere warm, they raise ocean temperatures and intensify extreme weather events in all parts of the world. What we are seeing play out right now in the Atlantic is a very expected and obvious outcome of the doom that is human-inflicted global heating. And its effects are obviously not confined to one part of the world. While hurricanes are worsening in the Atlantic, typhoons in the Pacific were surprisingly inactive this season. Pacific typhoon season, in fact, runs through the entire year, though most frequently typhoons occur between May and October. But this time there were only 13 named storms since May. For the very first time since record keeping began in this region, no tropical cyclones developed at all in the month of July, for the first time in the Pacific region. And surprise, a similar thing happened during 2005 as well. When hurricanes were running out of names and battering North America, Japan and this part of Asia was seeing a surprising silence. It happened once again in 2010, which on the other side had 12 hurricanes and was the fourth most active season on record. This is an anomaly because it's the Pacific Ocean that has more cyclones and more typhoons than the Atlantic having hurricanes. Hurricanes, typhoons, cyclones are all the same things. They're just called by different names depending on which part of the world they affect. The Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean in the world. It is in fact so vast in area that all of Earth's continents could fit into it. The Atlantic Ocean is the second largest ocean, and it lies in the S-gap between the North and South Americas on one side and Europe and Africa on the other. The Pacific Ocean lies on one side between Asia and Australia and on the other side between the North and South Americas. So what exactly is happening with these hurricane, typhoon and cyclone patterns, and why are they showing signs of changing now? So there was a study that came out this year from NOAA which showed that climate change has been influencing where tropical cyclones form and the regions that they affect. The study will be linked below, of course, and it was published in PNAS. The overall global number of cyclones forming around the world continues to remain the same, which is 86, from the year of 1980, but where these cyclones form in the waters is changing. The authors of the study found that this pattern of change cannot be explained just by natural causes and natural variabilities, and they do attribute anthropogenic or human-induced global heating. There are three big factors that are influencing this change, as they found out. The first one is a natural cause, completely out of control, and also is no longer a cause, and this is volcanism. Multiple volcanic events such as major eruptions in Mexico and Philippines caused the atmosphere in the northern hemisphere to cool between the years of 1980 to about 2000. This happened because emissions from the volcano formed clouds and started reflecting sunlight, reducing temperature. This then caused a shift in the tropical cyclone activity towards the south. But the authors point out that this trend has definitely changed since 2000, and there is no more active volcanism that is contributing to temperature change. The next and the biggest contributor is, of course, greenhouse gases. We all know that greenhouse gases rise up and warm the atmosphere, and they also warm oceanic waters. Warming atmosphere especially tends to warm the upper layers of waters. So what this does is it reduces the temperature difference between air and the water surface. Now, we've seen before in other videos in detail how hurricanes form and how they become the monsters that they are. When it's hot, the sun warms up the upper layers of surface water in the oceans. This then causes the water to evaporate, humid air rises up, and as it rises up, it leaves a gap below, it leaves space where cold air rushes in to fill that space. This is a convective process which then continues and then intensifies and scales up, becoming a storm and eventually a hurricane. But when there isn't much difference between the atmosphere and the upper layers of water, there is less chance of convective currents developing and thus a less chance of a tropical storm developing. And all of this is because of greenhouse gases. Now, the third factor is particulate pollution and aerosols, which are released by human emissions. This point is very counterintuitive because the warming is being caused by lack of pollutants. Some of these particulate matter create clouds higher up, and these again, just like volcanic emissions, tend to reflect sunlight, leading to cooling. Due to a lot of pollution and emission curbing measures, these particulate matter have actually come down, believe it or not. This then leads to the ocean being exposed and absorbing more heat and light from the sun and thus heating up more. There is, of course, a very important caveat here. This is not to say that anthropogenic aerosols are good. They most definitely are not. And the effects that we are seeing today are because of actions that we did several decades in the past. So there is nothing that we can do to change this. And it's important to remember that this is a transient effect. Very soon, tropical cyclones in the North Atlantic are projected to decrease due to the calming effect of greenhouse gases, as the authors describe in their paper. In the paper, the authors and the researchers have also marked areas on the world map that has showed increased and decreased cyclone frequency. Frequency of tropical cyclones, which form between the two tropics, so tropical cyclones, has increased in the northern Indian Ocean as well from the year 1980. Conversely, in the Pacific near the Asian and American coasts, as well as in the southern Indian Ocean near the Australian coast, tropical storms have decreased. In fact, on the 24th of September, a PIB statement was released. Dr. Harshvardhan, India's Minister of Science, Technology, Earth Science, Health and Family Welfare, did mention that data now shows that there is a steady increase in the number of heavy rainfall events during the last 3 years. And based on statistics from 1891 to 2017, on an average, 5 cyclones develop over the North Indian Ocean in 1 year. 4 of these develop over the Bay of Bengal and 1 in the Arabian Sea. However, in the recent past, increase in frequency has been observed in formation of cyclones in the North Indian Ocean. And studies have also shown an increase in frequency of severe cyclonic storms in the Arabian Sea. So the numbers show that in 2017 there were 5 cyclones, with 2 that were either severe or very severe or super cyclones, so anything severe and higher. Then the next year in 2018 there were 7 cyclones with 6 that were severe or stronger. And in 2019 there were 8 cyclones and again 6 that were severe or stronger. Arabian Sea, which sees an average of 1 cyclone each year, saw 3 in 2018 and 5 in 2019. You can also look at the data as released by the Ministry of Earth Sciences, which will also be linked in the description box below. It also talks about increased and heavy rainfall in India. Now, we understand that patterns are changing. But why is there a reduction in the Pacific whenever there's an increase of hurricanes in the Atlantic? One theory states that it has to do with water salinity, which is once again, of course, affected by temperature. Salty water is heavier and sinks more rapidly. This then accelerates what is commonly described as a conveyor belt of ocean currents called the thermohaline circulation, or THC. In the Atlantic, along the coast of both the Americas, salt water sinks rapidly and cold and salty current flows southwards along the Antarctic shelf and then moves upwards around Australia into the Pacific Ocean. However, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the temperatures are very hot. We can also see this in the map of changing hurricane strike patterns. And this warm water from this central region of the Pacific Ocean then flows as a shallow current in the top layers of the ocean. This then moves towards the Atlantic. It passes through the gap between Asia and Australia, which is essentially South Asia, and then enters the Indian Ocean. Over here in the southern part of the Indian Ocean, some part of the cold salty water current that is flowing alongside Antarctica does mix in with this warm current. But this warm shallow current then continues to travel along the coast of Africa and then enters into the Atlantic. This thermohaline circulation conveyor belt of ocean currents is now starting to move really fast. There is increased warming on the surface, and this results in a period of warmer than normal sea surface temperatures in the region of the Atlantic basin where tropical cyclones usually develop. This part of the Atlantic Ocean is called the Main Tropical Cyclone Development Region, MDR, of the Atlantic Basin, and it lies between Africa and the Caribbean. And this then leads to a high number of storms and hurricanes in this region. Studies have shown that there is more fresh water in the North Atlantic nowadays because of the rapid melting of the ice sheets in Greenland and the Arctic region. So in the future, we are actually expected to have fewer hurricanes, but the ones that do come will be more intense and wreak more havoc than ever before, as is the case with typhoons and cyclones and even with just regular rainfall.